week, after Candace Owens interviewed, um, getting his name, the guy who was on the USS Liberty and has made a career since then of telling the world that he, as somebody on a ship that was being bombed, knows everything that's behind it, and it was actually a Jewish conspiracy and an American conspiracy to kill Americans for reasons unknown, let's say. Um, so we did a show about that, and we did a show where we said we were going to debunk it, and we did. We went one by one through many of the points. This was an hour plus long interview, and Candace talks a lot of shit and really fast. And we didn't go through everything, but we went through a lot of the claims, gave the actual facts of what happened, and. What was interesting to us about that episode, it got more viewers than we usually get. It got about 13,000 views, but not, this wasn't one of our most watched episodes ever. It was, I think, one of our most commented on episodes ever. Certainly, comments per views ratio and likes per comments ratio were things the latter I don't think we've ever seen before. We had over three times as many comments as likes. Daniel, this is also the video, I believe, with the worst like to dislike ratio on the channel out of like 3,000 or however many videos we have. How many videos we have? Like 4,000? I don't know. This is number one in terms of most disliked. So yeah, the anti-Semites of the world united to come tell us what they think about this episode. Whether or not they watched it is a different question. But yeah, we're gonna read some of these comments, and I think it's important to know because Candace knows who her target audience is, who she is going after. In one of her videos after this video, she said that a lot of money has poured into the organization of this guy to keep promoting his anti-Semitic blood libel. So yeah, we're gonna talk about that. Welcome to the reality show. I'm joined by Daniel and James Valiant. James, your thoughts on our episode and the response that we've been getting, the reactions.
The reaction it seems to be kind of organized in a certain, I'm not saying there's some conspiracy behind it, but there does appear to be someone who was in the Candace Owens camp who alerted her and her minions to what we were doing here. I wasn't part of that episode, but it does seem bizarre that this one should be zeroed in on and focused in on so intensely.
So actually, let me just quickly tell you at some point, actually on the night of the Christmas party, which was the next night, we realized that we were number one on Google video search for USS Liberty, and I think number four or something like that on YouTube. So I think that's where much of the traffic came. But it's interesting to see who was searching for USS Liberty and what they did.
Wow. But that's fascinating in itself. Well, in any case, to me, the conspiracy theories behind the USS Liberty incident are just that, ridiculous conspiracy theories. Look, you've got a warship just a few miles off the coast of the Sinai Peninsula while a sudden war is going on and there's a warship steaming in your direction. What is Israel supposed to do? These things happen all the time. We have the radio communications between the Israeli pilots, between the torpedo ships under the water. We have that as objective evidence. But backing up further, it makes absolutely no sense. Why would Israel intentionally fire on and kill dozens of American sailors in the midst of this? What, to drag America, which was, of course, technically a neutral power at the time, into a war with Israel against Egypt? Well, that doesn't make any sense because there was no way Israel could have hidden, nor did they attempt to hide the fact that they were the ones who fired on the USS Liberty. It was an accident. Unless you are ascribing incredible stupidity to a moment when Israel is being extremely competent about taking care of their enemies, it makes absolutely no sense. It's not as though Israel could have ever hidden the fact that they were the source of this. There is no motive for doing this. There is no way to understand the USS Liberty incident except as an accident. You know, I have said this before on the channel in different contexts, but I have an uncle who fought in the Korean War, and he was badly injured and almost killed. The bullet that hit him in the chest came from an American soldier. These things happen in war. My uncle was nearly killed, but he did not blame the US soldier that shot him. He understood that the US soldier who shot him was trying to shoot the enemy, not him. These things happen in war. You've got a military ship steaming in your direction, operating just off the coast of the Sinai Peninsula. During that war, I'm afraid the first thing out of the gate is we have to give allowance for these things happening in a war context. And if you haven't identified this warship steaming in your direction, operating just off the Sinai Peninsula, uh, I can totally understand why it was fired upon. And no way Israel could have ever hidden the fact that they were the ones who did the firing. So there is no conceivable motive for Israel to do this, nor is there any conceivable motive for America to do this. Again, they couldn't hide the fact of where this attack came from. It would not have gotten the American people on their side or the American government on their side or caused America to intervene in that war. None of the motives make any sense. It is sheer anti Israeli, sheer anti Jewish propaganda, conspiracy theory, nuttiness. Now, and by nuttiness, I'm not making any psychologizing claims here. But then you have to ask the other question. Why the hell is Candace Owens bringing up an almost 60-year-old incident now? What is it, 57 years plus since this happened? And she's dredging up the witness right now? Because after October 7th, in the middle of a perfectly justified war, unbelievably justified war, no, it is her anti Semitism, which we've seen in many other guises, sneaking out here and there and here and there. If she was a clean witness herself, when we know her to be, the most bizarre theories about the origin of Zionism in Israel, she's willing to promote in other contexts, it's clear that she's an anti Semite. I know that independently from this episode. She's peddling anti Israeli, anti Semitic BS. That's what she does. And so she is not a credible witness. It's obvious she's dredging this up for no good reason other than to attack Israel when it's fighting for its life. So I can right off the bat distrust Candace Owens as a source. She has no other motive to bring up this decades old case other than her current animus against Israel. And three, the conspiracy theory absolutely makes no sense no matter how I slice it. Is there any way Israel could have hidden its role in this? No. And how could that possibly have helped drag America, as they put it, into that war? On the other hand, we have the radio communications between the Israeli pilots, and we have so much evidence, real objective evidence. And all this is the entire conspiracy theory is based on a couple of eyewitness accounts that she, of course, brings in one of those eyewitness accounts, which are themselves dubious, that fly in the face of all common sense, fly in the face of the official investigation, and makes no sense, and is only being, as you point out, there are people who've made a career on this. There are people who make careers on all kinds of conspiracy theories. In this case, it is clearly an anti-Israel, anti-Semite conspiracy theory that's been gone on for decades now, and she's happy to trot it out, no matter how little sense it makes, no matter how contradictory the motives that she's implying involve. Now, as to the comments, let's get into the comments because in the face of that context, these comments are absolutely absurd.
Well, so we'll get to the comments in a second. I do want to say that you mentioned, why would you do such an episode? And we started our episode about her show with what I think is the answer, which is, usually we go through a video, we go through it, chronologically. This time we started with a clip from the end where she goes through, an explanation of why it was the Mossad that killed Kennedy in order to install Johnson, who was an Israeli plant and preferred Israel to America. She talks about how the Mossad was on the ground in 9/11, not really elaborating on what exactly that means, but yeah. So yeah, if there is a conspiracy theory where Jews are the bad guys, especially if they're killing Americans, she will she will jump all over it. By the way, remember, early on in this war, one of her issues against what Israel is doing in Gaza is Israel is killing Christians. So Candace looks at the Middle East, and where Christians are at risk is from Israel to her. So anyway, yeah, Daniel, your initial thoughts, and then we'll read some. Oh, I forgot to mention this episode is sponsored by Jim Brown's new book, A Black Hole in Economics, Money Creation and Its Consequences. There is a link in the chat and in the description where you can buy that book. All royalties from the sales of that book go to the Ayn Rand Centre UK. So you should buy the book anyway, but you will also help support our work. Daniel will tell you more about the book later on in the show. But Daniel, your initial thoughts before we get to some of the comments we got last week.
Yeah, I mean, most of them were jumping through three, four, five different points and were just sort of that is a word, I really need to learn better English. But basically, just a few points that were repeated over and over again. I'll just mention them quickly, and then we'll go through the comments and we can expand on them. But the first one, common one, was you can't even criticize Israel. Which again, like throughout the whole video, we've said like this, and I think I started it as my first point. Like this was a mistake on the Israel's part, and Israel tried to do the best it can to sort of repair the relations or sort of compensate the families of the people die. Obviously it cannot like bring the people who died back. It cannot be like that cannot be changed, but it took every action it can. And again, during a war, friendly fire is unfortunately the fact of reality. Despite saying that, it's important to remember that most people probably didn't even watch the video. They've just commented based on the title or based on the whatever, or watch just a little bit and click through, as well as the comprehension was, I think, minimal at best.
But
Then
it's unfair, isn't it, Daniel? We have been critical of Israel in many ways. Indeed, critical of the way Israel is fighting this war for more than a year now, critical of Israel in several other dimensions, critical of, I mean, it is insane. It is absolutely crazy. We are capable of criticizing Israel. We do it all the time. We do it all the time. That is just a flat lie. They are refusing to identify the good guys, the bad guys, and a real motive that makes sense here. As you pointed out, Israel's role in this was never going to be hidden, and Israel paid millions upon millions of dollars in damages. Uh, uh, they were accepting responsibility, but it was for an accident, clearly.
Yeah,
That
not only that, Israel, once it realized that it was an American ship, tried to go and help them. Understandably, they refused the help, but that was what was happening there. Of course, this person said Israel tried to sink the ship but couldn't, which is also a very interesting way to interpret things. Daniel, did you want to finish what you were
yeah, I'm
saying?
sorry.
Then there was a couple of
yeah,
comments.
sure. Another one was you just hate veterans, and that's again it's sort of like a thing. Like yeah, the guy. I kind of want to be mean to him, but I shouldn't be. I have a general respect for the soldiers as well as I have general respect for like public offices like a president of the United States. I might disagree with the person sitting in that office, but I still have a certain respect for the office itself. And no, you won't speak yet. And so this like you just hate veterans. Like again, that doesn't give him like shield or immunity. Again, to any kind of criticism as they claim Israel has. Like, if he lies or if he like is anti-Semitic or is trying to put some propaganda against Israel, uh, just the fact that he was a soldier, or in this case a sailor, doesn't give him some kind of immunity. And even during again during the show, we said like we still have respect for the fact that he was a sailor, he was in the navy, but that doesn't give you protection.
It's just crazy that we don't have respect for veterans. And if you discount the testimony on a particular case of a particular veteran that happens to contradict all the real communications evidence that we have about this, it's not an attack on veterans. That's an argument from authority, by the way, to simply believe every veteran. Well, there are a
Yeah.
bunch of veterans who disagree about this. But
Yeah.
for myself, I can tell you that my grandfather on my father's side fought against the Germans in the last century. My three uncles on my mother's side that were all in the U.S. service. I respect U.S. veterans and service people.
Yeah. The idea that
Protect freedom, okay?
you're not, you're not properly thanking soldiers for their service if you don't accept unquestioningly everything they say for the rest of their life. And different soldiers. I think most soldiers will not like this guy and what he's saying. And that's the camp we're in. We're on the side of America while he is claiming that America was essentially behind this or was helping Israel hide it. Thank you, PC, for the super chat. PC says, James, she is dragging it up because she hates Israel. Yeah, and that's that has been her whole thing.
There may be some unknowns about the Kennedy assassination, but I'm going to go out on a limb here. Mossad had nothing to do with it. And if you're promoting BS theories like that without a shred of evidence, your Jew hatred, your anti-Semitism is really showing, Candace. And now you're just trying to find anything you can. Yes, Israel made a mistake, but my God, they were fighting for their lives when there was a coordinated attack on them. They did a brilliant job of fighting back, by the way. Other mistakes were made during that war, by the way. In various theaters in this war, innocent ships have been attacked by both sides, by the way. These things happen. And Israel took responsibility for it. It's in just sheer anti Semitism, sheer anti Israel hate. That's all I can figure here.
Well, James, for the JFK assassination, JFK wanted to force the American Zionist Council to sign up with FARA, the Foreign Agents Act. So the Mossad had to kill him so they wouldn't get signed up. And I hate the fact that I know all these conspiracies. And again, it's that kind of conspiracy. Like, let's say even JFK did that. Let's say, AIPAC was created after that. It basically it came out of the or sort of came out of the American Zionist
Um,
Council.
Okay, I want to get to the comments. I just want to quickly read Susie's comment because Susie says, can't criticize Israel, and also she's done that for a year. Yeah, Candace titled her episode about the USS Liberty a personal announcement, and then later she explained that she titled it that because not exactly those words, but the Jews would get rid of the show if she said what it's about. Look, I think that contributed to us being #1 on Google video search for a while. The fact that she wasn't there. So
Well,
yeah, we
Candace,
appreciate it. Yeah.
Candace, the content of your comments, Candace, are well known. And if the Jews had this power that you claim them to have, they would have stopped you long, long ago. Trust me. If I were, I'm not even from Jewish background, but if I were in charge of things and I had some kind of lever that I could control, I would get my Jewish friends. I guess Jews and homosexuals control the media and can just press a button and eliminate you, Candace. Well, if they could, your continued existence on the internet is proof that they don't have that kind of power. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, just quickly because I haven't even finished my point about the
I'm
conspiracy
sorry.
theory. No, it was Razi who jumped in. But so even that conspiracy again doesn't make sense. So what if IPAC was signed with FARA? It like wouldn't like fundamentally change anything. It would just mean okay, like the American government sort of knows they're receiving like foreign funding, or that the American people would know they're receiving. If they are not. That's why they are not signed up with FARA, because it's a private organization that is not receiving any funds from the foreign governments. So it's like even like this conspiracy, and the fact that they would go as far as like killing a president just to like dodge one, like, yeah, it's like
So
conspiracy.
take that kind of risk with your strongest ally in the whole world and risk losing your entire alliance with your one friend, your only semi-friend in the world. It makes zero sense. The motivations here make zero sense.
Yeah.
Israel's role in this could never have been hidden. So none of these conspiracies have a shred of human sense to motivation. If I were a prosecutor, I would know that prosecuting Israel for intentionally doing this would be a dead bang loser in court. Okay, they're not even using logic.
Yeah. Not to mention, this was day 4 of a war on 3 fronts,
Yes,
which we now know was a 6-day war, but on day 4, they didn't know how long it's
you
going to
didn't know.
be. Yeah. So, yeah, you're fighting against the armies of 3 countries that are, on paper, could be argued stronger than you, at least bigger countries. And you're like, yeah, why don't I also attack, the strongest country in the world who is our ally on the way, just for laughs. Anyway, all right, we've covered that. Let's go to some
Yeah.
of the comments from
Okay.
and I am this is look, the comment section was such that for the thumbnail, Daniel had to go and screenshot a few and put them on the thumbnail. I'm just looking at the comment section and scrolling back because this is most of the comments or many of the comments. I'm just going to read a few and we can discuss. Any ass who thinks this video is false is no patriotic American and should get the hell out. Now, I think, who was on that show, Daniel? Do you remember?
The two of us and Jonathan.
And Jonathan, yeah, okay. So Jonathan, if this guy has a say, you're welcome here. Actually, as far as I'm concerned, you're welcome here in the UK. Not sure I'm a official spokesperson.
Jonathan is one of the most wonderful America-loving people I know of, as Americans go. Okay, he's a patriotic American. That's insane that you would say that vicious comment and to
Well,
evict someone who had a different opinion than you. My
well,
God.
the next comment I'm going to read will also maybe indicate one of the issues, one of the problems with Jonathan. Their surnames tell me all I need to know. And we got a lot of people we're gonna get to a bit more of that. So we are supposed to take your word over the words of a victim, a witness, a survivor. Again, if there was some Israeli conspiracy, or if there wasn't, or whatever happened, you, when you're being bombed on a ship, do not know what's going on behind it. And he actually said, we first saw the planes bombing us, we didn't know who it was. Okay, so you didn't know who it was, but now the fact that you were on the ship is the reason to believe you. That's not how it works.
Right. You would need other evidence. You would need the radio communications between the Israeli pilots and the Israeli Navy people. That's what you need. And that's the kind of evidence that, well, of course, refuted this conspiracy theory decades ago. And besides, last name, okay, my name is Anglo. My name is based on my Christian British ancestry. It's not a Jewish name. So am I also involved in this? Does my
Yes,
surname
yes,
explain this?
because you're either a Jew or you're one of you're on the side of the Jews, however they would put it. Okay, I want to
Okay.
read a few more just from this is all from like the past day or so. Then I'll get to some of the special ones that I've saved. But this channel doesn't know history, and you were lying about this one to cover Israel. The USS Liberty was deliberately targeted, and so were her sailors by the IDF. These guys are not very good at the art of propaganda and lying. Those dudes need a new job. This propaganda is ridiculous. There was a genocide in Gaza, and it's 70 years in the making. Read a friggin' book.
I've
Um,
read I've read a few books and I do study history and I'm an attorney who's had to prove things in court and I know what evidence is and what evidence supports a proposition or doesn't. No, sir, you are the one lacking all evidence altogether. You're the one who's completely divorcing this from history. You're the one with the racist motives here. And that's the only way I can identify that. Uh, it's not even worth even responding to because it's so empty and vacuous of any actual evidence.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
know, Daniel,
also
you want to jump in? Just give me a few more. These ones are shorter because I read a few longer ones.
I just want to quickly comment on that
Yeah.
specific one because like genocide, like 70 years in making. Oh, and then saying like read a book. Like what again, what is the implication? Israel was controlling Gaza for 40 years about like directly controlling Gaza for 40 years, and they couldn't figure out how to like actually do a genocide if they wanted to. Like they couldn't figure out like killing people that are actively living in their land. And this is, this is before the internet, so before we could see this televised genocide. And same for the Judea and Samaria. They were controlling all of that. They they just don't know how. They just can't figure it out.
Yeah,
Like
Israel has been committing genocide against the Palestinians since before the Palestinians actually existed. So the Palestinian people were invented in the 60s. Anyway, some more comments. Are you guys Jews? You guys are
Wow.
idiots. You're despicable. That's Y-O-U-R. By the way, that's a running theme here as well. You guys are despicable. This at least was grammatically correct. Despicable. No way. Bye. Um, Love how they're getting absolutely roasted in the comments. Many laughing emojis. That's, the social media world is interesting in how they see things. So yeah, hundreds of people came to our comment section. At least hundreds of comments were posted in the comment section. And yeah, somehow that means that the anti-Semites are right. But anyway,
We know there are a lot of people who hate Jews and are anti-Israel. That's all that proves. Again, it's an bizarre kind of argument from authority. X person believes he's a veteran. Look at all these commenters who are making empty, vacuous comments. That proves nothing. My God, we're doing the Peikoff's introduction to logic course for members only on Sundays, and this is just a classic example of logical fallacies, one right after another, that prove absolutely nothing. They don't even point to any evidence of proof of anything other than their own anti-Semitic prejudices walking in the door.
um, all right. Well, there's a comment here. Uh, I would like to thank this panel. If it wasn't for your insane quantity of disinformation, I would have left this video. Since y'all were so absurdly horrible in your coverage of the event, I decided to stay and listen to all the lies y'all promoted. And as a treat, I get to go donate $20 to this American hero. Y'all are awful human beings. I pray y'all repent. I'm reading this also because on YouTube Studio, it gives me the option as Ayn Rand Centre UK to give one of the automatic replies, and the options they're giving me are thanks for that, well said, and no worries. This is for the people who are worried that AI is taking over any day now. Not quite.
thank you for your
Yeah,
feedback.
Daniel, any thoughts before we keep going?
Yeah, I mean, I have a few funny comments I've seen on my own that I'm not sure if you'll miss. So someone said these guys are weak, trained by CNN, I guess. Um,
Oh yeah.
yeah, CNN loves Israel. They just cannot get enough of it. Which again, that reminds me of that. You sort of you realize I think these people should realize how much of a like almost like a vacuum they are in, that they like see like CNN as like the pro-Israeli, and it really shows like they actually do hate Jews, because if you view CNN as like being too pro-Israeli, which at the most they don't want Israel to be wiped out of the earth, that's or at least not directly, maybe by action. That's like the most you'll probably get from CNN. Some just basic, they have the right to defend themselves or something like that. If that's too pro-Israeli for them, that's because they actually do not want Israel to exist. That's why it's too pro-Israeli for them. That's why for too many Arabs in America, Kamala Harris was too pro-Israeli. Is because she still believed that hostages should go back to Israel, and that Israel has a right to defend itself, whatever that would mean, whatever that means in her mind. But that was viewed as too pro-Israeli for them. And also, just one more funny. Someone says you can buy the book for $1,000. We talked about how one of his books he've written is is like $1,000 because it's probably out of print. Which, he wants the truth to be so out there that he doesn't even get his own book reprinted. But he continues, you can buy the book for $1,000. Charming. You all know that George Soros is a Jew also. Not making any accusations, but one does question.
Well, now think about this. To align us with CNN's ideology or to align us with George Soros's ideology just confesses a great deal of ignorance on their part about us, right? They have no idea what they're talking about. And it puts me in the strange position of having to say, well, at least CNN has some journalistic standards as opposed to you whack jobs who have absolutely no respect for evidence, absolutely no respect for the wider context of evidence that I'm talking about here, such as the actual communication transmissions, which were recorded at the time so that we know what the Israelis who were on those planes and in those naval ships were saying to one another. That's the real evidence here that they are completely ignoring. The real evidence, not some, as Razi pointed out, some sailor on the ship who doesn't know any of that, who doesn't know any of the important evidence that would be brought to bear here. But at least for all the mistakes that CNN makes, and believe me, I'm not going to be here saying that CNN is the most credible source in the universe, but they are far more credible than Candace Owens and her whack job wackadoodles there. At least they have some respect for the evidence. It's insane.
So one of the first indications that I got to where this is going was a few hours after the episode. There was a comment. So the veteran who was actually there is lying, and you three Jews who weren't even alive at the time are telling the truth. The world is waking up. Try acknowledging truth and apologizing instead of lying for once in your lives. And then there was a reply immediately. Two of them are Jews, and the other one probably wishes he was a Jew, but you are correct. That'd be you, Daniel. I don't know if you actually
I
know.
have respect for that guy. That guy can somehow tell a Jew and a non-Jew apart. That's like incredible. Like,
Yeah, your criteria for respect is something we'll discuss on a different
but
episode, but um,
the overt anti-Semitism is just repugnant.
yeah,
You
and
refuse to believe this.
another comment was, is Israel being victimized, Ginsburg? Better lie about it. How unlike one of you. And again, we have over 800 comments last I checked. Many of them are like this, which brings me to the basically the topic of this show, which is Candace. Somebody said in the comments earlier in the show that she's making money from this, and of course she is, but she was making money before. She was a popular commentator. I don't know if her views are higher now than they were before, but yeah, she made money as I left the left kind of person. She, was one of the run-of-the-mill conservatives, but also black, which the right likes to show that they're not racist, so they have her. And it's not like she was poor and then she started talking about Jews, and all of a sudden she's rich. This is I I generally don't like the idea that somebody is saying something because they're paid for it and otherwise they wouldn't. Many times these people actually, most of the time, I think these people actually believe what they say, which is yeah, just as bad, if not worse. Granny
y-
Rose says Nazi is the new black. Yeah, and
yeah, and
you can be black and a Nazi, so all the more. Yeah.
yeah, just quickly on the money point, because she worked for Daily Wire and she was fired because of her like overt anti-Semitism, and this like is she just grifting for the money? Uh, is she making more money? Maybe she's making more money now as independent, after she recovered. But was it as sure at the time that basically she would be better off? And we don't even know. I mean, it's hard to say. But especially since most of her stuff might even get demonetized. Um, I think she is a true believer. I think she actually believes in all her stuff. I mean, I think someone earlier in the chat said, and I think I put it original on the thumbnail. Candace Owens says this like changed her life, and I'm just looking like, really, was this like last straw? Like until now, she was like, pro-Semitic or like big fan of Israel, and like this was the thing. This was the what is it, the straw that broke the camel's back. Like now with this one, no, she was literally fired from Daily Wire because of like her actual like anti-Semitism, and yeah, that nothing has changed. She's just grabbing. That's what happens with conspiracism. Once you accept it, once you reject reason and accept any sort of claims. I mean, she talked about how Israel was founded by pedophiles or whatever, or that the Jewish religion is pedophilic or something. Come on, like she's accepting. She's just grabbing all the conspiracies she can find.
Yeah, and you can see all the, I mean, they don't even attempt to hide their anti-Semitism in the comments. So these are her fans. This really represent all these obviously, overtly anti-Semitic comments that they don't even try to hide their anti-Semitism on. That's her crowd. That's the crowd she's playing to. She has become a focus, a magnet for the ugly anti-Semitism. And that, Candace, if you're listening, that's what you're doing. You're a racist. You're a racist, and you're a magnet for other racists, and that's what you are. And Daily Wire. I was never a big fan of Daily Wire, but you know something? One of the best things they ever did was to can your racist behind.
Um, I'm going to read a few more comments. I've learned nothing from this panel other than the fact that, other than that they hate facts and are willing to defame Americans for Israel. Did you watch the original video? I mean, if anybody's defaming America, it's this American soldier who
Yeah,
is saying that America, is bringing this quote, which, as far as we can tell, he himself made up, of Johnson saying, I don't care about a few dead sailors. I will not embarrass my ally Israel, which is, a weird way to put it, even if that's the thing. I don't think the conspiracy theory has been, built well enough. Storytelling is an art, and I don't think this guy's an artist. Um,
It doesn't even sound like Johnson. Okay, I've studied Lyndon Baines Johnson a little bit, and that ain't nothing he would have ever said. It seems to
yeah.
me. So yeah,
Um,
I want some documentation on that comment.
Uh, Here's a not anti-Semitic comment, but weird one nonetheless. You are a bunch of liars. No one is hating Jews. We are hating criminals, no matter ethnicity, skin color, etc. What a sad bunch you are. No one is hating Jews. If you scroll through our comment section, is not the case. And again, this is the audience Candace is targeting, knowing she is going to get. Look, I still haven't watched her show responding to her being winning the award for anti-Semite of the week of the year, but just the title and thumbnail show how she's treating it. She knows that this is her current shtick, and this is her current audience, and she is expanding that's my concern is she is expanding that audience. More and more people seem to be eager to buy whatever she says. Just a couple more comments. Literally interviewed a guy that was there. You are clowns. And another one in the
There.
excellent logical arguments camp is, you have 11,000 views. She's closing in on 5 million. The public vote has been made clear. Well,
There's the logical fallacy ad populum right there. You see, you can just go right down a list of logical fallacies from traditional Aristotelian logic in any traditional Aristotelian logic text and just check off about half of the fallacies when in the course of looking at these comments. It's absurd. And the thing is, they've got one eyewitness in the face of all this other evidence that they're ignoring. And obviously, that's your epistemological standard there. No, I'm sorry, sir. You're the one who is working whatever evidence you can really, really hard in contradiction to a whole bunch of other evidence that you're ignoring. That is the evidence of bias, of hatred, of frankly, zero logic trying to get to your conclusion, predetermined conclusion, anti-Israel, anti-Jewish conclusion.
um, quickly. Okay, Daniel, you go, and then I'll, because I'm reading two comment sections. But yeah, go ahead. If you can do so unmuted, that'd be even better.
Yeah, sure. Um, I have a few more. This one was nice. The way this presentation began, I can already see liars getting ready to debunk truth for selfish reasons. So at least we got that. Yeah, we did it for selfish reasons. She's spreading propaganda. And yeah, we'll cover it. We'll talk about it. We'll talk against it.
And she was
Uh,
psychic. She just knew it was coming. She she didn't even have to wait for any further commentary. She knew that we were all getting ready to lie. She just knew it psychically. I don't know what other tarot cards or a Ouija board or her horoscope told her that.
oh, she looked at the last names. Honestly, that's
Well, she'd seen the last names. A name like Ginsburg, and she knew lies were going to come.
Uh, Another comment, 50 first-hand witnesses versus 3 chosen people who weren't, oh, I think you read this one, who weren't even born when it happened. Wonder who to believe.
No, I don't think I read that. I think that's a different one saying we weren't born.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was
yeah,
born.
I mean, there are sort of two things going on there, like 50% witnesses. Again, it's not like every single person who survived the USS Liberty is like in that organization, like arguing now, like, they are really trying to, the only ones speaking about what actually happened. No, most
Well,
people.
that's a lie. That's just a lie to say all that the men who served on the USS Liberty are on their side. That's just not true, by the way. Yikes.
Uh,
Um, Before you continue, let me no, actually it's not urgent, so if you want to continue, go ahead.
you're not debunking Candace Owen, you're calling a survivor a liar and his shipmate's life story a lie. She didn't claim any of this, she just amplified his story, which also that's also problematic. I mean, he didn't spread propaganda of Rudolf Hess. He just invited, or I don't even have to go to the Second World War. Tucker Carlson didn't spread Putin propaganda. He just invited him on his show and he let him speak for like 20 minutes with absolutely no pushback. I mean, yeah, of course, it's when, especially, you can absolutely invite someone to like share their story about what happened on USS Liberty. You invited specifically a person who spent his life like attacking Israel because of what happened on USS Liberty and
Yeah.
trying to spread propaganda around it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
pointing
she's
to
just amplifying voices, but she chooses the voices she amplifies, and this is something she's spoken about before. And she started by reading his letter, and she continued by asking him questions that were treating his answers as facts. This was not an interview where she was look, I don't think you should have somebody on even to try to debunk him because somebody like this is clearly, outside of what is legitimate in terms of his
No, she
negative.
thoroughly endorsed his position. You
Yeah,
cannot watch that interview without hearing that she thoroughly endorsed his position. So whoever made that comment really, it's not the question of their ears. It's a question of what's between their ears. Candace was thoroughly endorsing this. And if you miss that, then again, I have to wonder about your capacity to process information and use logic.
yeah, and again, if you watch our show from last Friday, we started it with Candace telling us, not asking him questions and him answering, telling us that the Jews were behind the Kennedy assassination because they wanted to basically plant Lyndon Johnson in the White House, telling us to rethink 9/11 because the Muslims wouldn't do something like this. Obviously, it's the Jews. So yeah, this is Candace. This is Candace's view. What he said, and she did say at the end of the episode, "My family is going to give $1,000 every year to your organization, and I encourage everybody watching this to give $1, and so on." So yeah, she
See
is
how
she
neutral,
is
see
on
how
his
neutral
side.
she was? Rosie, you're crazy. See how neutral she was?
That's the thing. If you interview somebody and you're just giving him a stage and you allow different viewpoints, you don't actually say I'm going to donate to your organization.
Candace,
Anyway,
did Jews during the Middle Ages use Christian babies in their blood ceremonies? I mean, seriously, you need to address that, Candace, because obviously it's a bunch of pro-Jewish people who are hiding the truth. It was all a giant conspiracy. And in fact, let's start counting the number of Christian babies that, you know, those evil Jews were using in there, and talk about woeful ignorance, as though a blood ceremony would be consistent with the Torah. But we'll leave that aside. She would believe the blood libel itself. I'm certain she believes that the Jews collectively are responsible for the crucifixion of Jesus. So we you know, that is how despicable a spreader of anti-Semitic hatred Candace Owens has become. And you believe anything out of her mouth?
Yeah, and by the way, when she did the sales pitch for his charity, she said, you know, this video is going to be in the millions of views, which it was. And if everybody watching gave $1, then you know, these guys will live like kings or something like that. And look, that is very likely. If everybody who watches this show gives us $1, we will have hundreds of dollars, possibly thousands. But we are, I think, doing great work on a shoestring budget. So that is, of course, appreciated. And if you can give more than $1, that's even better. Thank you, Kenny Demeter, who has done that today by becoming a YouTube member and gifting 5 Ayn Rand Centre UK YouTube memberships. That'll give the people who got those gifted memberships a month of access to our members-only content, including the study group on Leonard Peikoff's Introduction to Logic, run by James Valiant every Sunday, our book club on Atlas Shrugged, and many more benefits. And of course, um, if you like what you get this month, then you can choose to continue.
Yeah, sorry, just to quickly jump in, there is a comment in the chat, and it's actually a general sentiment even from the comment. Something like, you know, what is, uh, something like you are not allowed to criticize Israel without being called anti-Semitic. And usually the people who say that are actually anti-Semitic. I mean, we criticize Israel here every single day, and I don't think I've been called an anti-Semite yet. But let's assume I was called an anti-Semite for criticizing Israel. How would that make sense for me to now be actually anti-Jewish? I mean, you know, you could say if you are in America, you probably, if you advocate against, uh, I mean, Civil Rights Act, because you know because it forces businesses to basically not be able to discriminate, which that is not the proper role of the government. We would normally argue against it. And I think Ayn Rand, during her time in the 60s, did argue against it, as well as many politicians did. And many of them were racist, probably for the right reasons, and many of them were labeled racist for the wrong reasons. But okay, you should think for yourself, and you should think, okay, am I what I'm doing actually like racist? Am I what I'm doing actually anti-Semitic, or are they people misjudging? Why would you ever, if someone calls you racist? Well, I guess I'll just be racist if they call me. What kind of like mental process is that?
That was brilliant, Daniel.
Um,
Yeah.
Let me just quickly thank PC for the super chat. And PC says, James, when I was in the US in the summer on a road trip, I saw in a public bathroom, Jews own you written on a wall. Yeah, I mean, look, it takes one person to do that. And look, America, as I often say, America is going downhill, but it is starting further up the hill than the rest of us. We're also going downhill. And you know, I've also spent some time in America recently. I feel much safer there than
But
anywhere
believe
else.
me,
You also see shows of support for Israel, which you cannot do publicly here in London because you will get physically attacked, and that's guaranteed.
that, you know, uh, the it just blows me away. I am fully aware, though, that there are anti-Semitic groups in the United States. I mean, think of the Ku Klux Klan, for example. They didn't just hate blacks, you know. They hated Jews with you know, almost equal ferocity. And I'm fully aware that there are hateful groups in this country who you know, Jews are the leading victims of hate crimes in my country. My country, as Razi points out, does have a lot of sympathy for Israel. Most of the Christians and non-aligned people in America, this isn't just the Jewish community that dictates American policy, are pro-Israel. That's why a majority of Americans are pro-Israel. But we do have all kinds of anti-Semitism. Just look at what was going on college campuses. It's alive and well and on the rise in the world. And you know something? Candace Owens, as I say, is a magnet for that growing, despicable racism that's going on in the world. But yeah, America will protect Jewish people. America does afford rights for religious minorities, despite the disgusting racist hatred that you will find in every country of this on this globe.
Okay, Daniel, if you want to tell us about Jim Brown's book, please do so in a few seconds. I just want to read El Rito's comment. El Rito says, Ayn Rand Centre UK found their niche, Candace Owens. Yeah, not really, but she does provide material. And again, as I said on the Daily Objective, when PC mentioned Chris Williamson and suggested we do an episode about him, and we do many episodes about Candace Owens, Owen Jones, people like that who are prominent because they're pushing this kind of stuff and they're prominent. And that's what's important here. As the person, look, this person who said she has 5 million views, you have 11,000, therefore she's right. That's not how reality works. But it is important that she has 5 million views and that so many people agree with her that we get 11 or now 13,000, which is more than we usually get, and those are, at least in terms of people commenting, mostly people who buy her stuff. So yeah, it is unfortunate that we do these episodes, but it has to be done. I mean, it has to be done because because of her prominence and because no matter how far out there her stuff is, it still gets an audience of people who lap it up. So
Yeah, she's got 5 million people. We need to respond to her because she has millions of followers. That makes it non-optional on our part. And I have to return to the original theme here. What we normally cover is not these wacky critics, but at various aspects of the war in Israel. That's just what that Israel waging, not in Israel. Well, yes, to a large extent in Israel's too. What we're doing is talking about the entire circumstance. And what you people are doing, defending Candace Owens, are attacking the one nation that is on the frontier of civilization and defending civilization in the savage Middle East. Yeah, you heard me, the savage Middle East, because of their culture. What you guys are doing is what's anti-American, anti-civilization, anti-freedom. And they are doing it in the name of what? Americanism? American veterans? What? No, they're not. They are opposed to everything that America truly stands for. Let me just say it like that. Miss Owens, you may call yourself a conservative all you like. You're a despicable racist. And America was founded on the principle that all men are created equal. That's why we even fought a civil war to liberate slaves who were not being treated equal. But at least the original, see, America, I can criticize America. I can criticize Israel. But the point is that America, you are opposed to the ideals, the good ideals, at least, on which America was founded. You are the anti-American. You are the racist, Candace Owen. Stop it.
Okay, I want to read a few more comments, but Daniel, I will let you read something more positive before I go to those comments.
Well, let me remind people that today's episode of the reality show and every episode of the reality show in the month of December is sponsored by Jim Brown's new book, A Black Hole in Economics, Money Creation and Its Consequences. Let me read you a little bit from the introduction. This book is for anyone who wants to understand money creation in the modern economy. In the following pages, I'll explain how money is created, who creates it, and the consequences of money creation, both good and bad. Whether you're an investor navigating volatile markets, a student searching for understanding, or a conscientious voter who wants to stay well informed, this book is for you. Get ready to have your assumptions challenged as we dive headfirst into what I call the black hole of economic knowledge. After reading this book, you'll emerge with insights that will transform your perspective on money, banks, and their impact on your life. And also, all proceeds from the sale of the book go towards the support of Ayn Rand Centre UK, so you can educate yourself in one of the most important aspects of modern age, money, and you can also help us stay on the air.
Yeah, and I'll once again go to, if everybody watching this buys a copy of the book, we will still have far less money than anti-Semitic conspiracy theorists, but we need less money. We also have the truth on our side, which helps. And I have to read this comment from today's chat before I go to a few more comments from last week's chat. What the hell is this Zionist bullshit? No, the reason why anti-Semitism is on the rise is because anti-Zionism is being equated with anti-Semitism all the time. So, in other words, the reason people hate Jews is the Jews. Some more comments from the chat from last week. This is Jewish Center UK. You are Jewish, LOL. I hope these three live in Israel. Where is there was some few. Oh, look, three Jews telling everyone the eyewitness survivor stories are liars, LMAO. And this I found interesting. Three white guys against one black woman. Got it. Yeah.
They cannot but look at things through a racist lens. Tells you everything. And my friend who was just distinguishing between Jews and Zionists there, do you really think those last few comments are that? No, it's Jew hatred. And let me point out that your distinction is without a real difference. If you're not a Zionist, you don't think that Jewish people have a right to a place where they're at least comparatively safe in the world. No, the motivation that's anti-Zionist is, in every case that I've ever uncovered, anti-Semitic. And so even though I come from a long line of Christians, am proud to say that I am a Zionist. So come kill me.
Yeah, and this general idea of like, oh, anti-Semitism is rising because of conflation with anti-Zionism, or just because you're anti-Zionist doesn't mean you're anti-Semitic, or you cannot even criticize Jews without being called anti-Semitic. And I want to see one person who says you cannot even criticize Israel. And if you go into their older messages, they don't have like anti-Semitic or like basically anti-Semitic statements.
Hmm.
And it's always the case. It's always the case. It's always the people who say you cannot even criticize Israel. They just want to be. They just actually want to be anti-Semitic. It's the same people who say, who I think falsely advocate for free speech. I think free speech is absolute and should be protected, and is protected by the U.S. Constitution at the very least. But the people who like say, oh, you cannot even speak about this, or you cannot even speak about that, and they like exclusively use it to be as hateful as possible. And it's like, yeah, I mean, what you do with that? You can. Who's stopping? Who's stopping you? Who's stopping you from criticizing Israel? Like, will someone arrest you? Maybe if you're like in Germany and you're like explicitly anti-Semitic, I think there are some laws for that. So I
No,
don't
they're
think
trying to
everybody here
silence
is from
us.
Germany.
No, the
Yeah,
real motive is they're trying to silence us. They don't want this even spoken. That's the point. They want only their vile anti-Semitic hatred spoken. And so anyone who challenges them, we must be the ones who are somehow over the edge in terms of, irrational intolerance. Please,
yeah.
Well,
spare
And
me.
just quickly, someone says in the similar way, you cannot even criticize black community without being tagged as racist. Well, get a backbone. I mean, yeah, people will like talk against you. Like, yeah, you have to be able, like, what did you just learn that people will try to like ruin you, or try to go after you, or try to like speak out against you when they think you are going against them? Like,
not
get
not
some
to mention
confidence.
she voted for Trump, so she ain't black, right?
Right.
We are over time, but there are a few more comments that I kind of want to read. So yeah, we can go a little bit over time. In case you were wondering, yes, Ayn Rand UK is a Jewish organization. Now you can understand why they're being biased and disingenuous on this topic. Open your eyes. Don't fall for their lies. I think this is meant to be read as a rap, but I'm not going to do that. Look at their faces and last names. This is a different comment. Look at their faces and last names. No bias here at all, right, Shlomo? Um,
It's like
Whoa,
actual like Nazi rhetoric, like the fact that like
yeah,
Jews have like a certain charts and you can like tell.
yeah. No, outside of the neo-Nazis and the KKK, where do you find that kind of anti-Semitism except in the trolls for our commentary? These people are the most vile. They're spreading neo-Nazi, Ku Klux Klan, anti-Semitic hatred in the comments, and they're declaring themselves openly, in effect, by the language they use.
Someone in the chat says in the US there are literally laws against criticizing Israel. What laws?
Yeah,
Like
that is false. That is just a lie.
yeah, yeah. But come on.
that I'll mention that because I think some states do have anti-BDS laws. So technically you could file that under the sort of like criticism of Israel.
I think the only anti-BDS laws are laws against like government-related stuff, boycotting Israel. You
But
can't
why
have a
didn't
law
there
against BDS as such.
if that was even partially true, then why the hell didn't they arrest all of these protesters from Harvard University to the University of Southern California? They would have surely been in flat violation of that, and they could have all been arrested in mass numbers.
Yeah,
I mean, that is insane.
in some places you can't basically if you are the government or government funded, you can't use those funds to campaign basically for against for America's enemies in essence because Israel's enemies are America's enemies. Thank you, Kenny, for the super chat. Kenny says Zionism is necessary because of anti-Semitism. Absolutely.
Yeah,
In an
there you
ideal
go.
world, there would be no need for Zionism, but what the comments we've read today show why there is such a need.
Wouldn't it be lovely if Jews were treated decently in the neighboring countries and didn't have to flee to Israel from Syria and Yemen and Egypt because they were being so horrifically discriminated against and ghettoized in the Muslim world? Can you guys get a clue? Yeah, but thank you. You're exactly right. The commenter here has a clue, more than a clue. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, there was a mute button. Yeah, there are hundreds of these comments. We are out of time. You can go and find these comments under that video. We often get accused of removing comments. We hardly ever do that, and I don't think we've removed a single comment from this one. So sometimes YouTube does that, but there are ways for people to be anti-Semitic without being detected by the algorithm or with the algorithm thinking that they're giving us a compliment, as we've shown. So yeah, I do recommend going, checking out some of those comments, scrolling through them for a few minutes, and just seeing why it is that it is necessary for us to talk about the Candace Owenses of the world. James, parting
Yeah, sorry,
thoughts?
just
Yeah.
quickly on the anti-BDS laws because I googled it. Yeah, it is. If you are a government institution or if you receive public funding, that you have to basically commit to not discriminating against Israel or Israelis.
Right. If you're getting government funding, you know how much anti-Israel, anti-Semitic stuff goes on in my country. It doesn't need government funding. And think about it. So the government should be funding anti-Semitic, anti-Israel groups with my tax dollars? No, thanks. No, that's not a violation of free speech, folks. No. Wow. What a bizarre leap that is. I guess that'll be my final comment.
Well, do you want to tell people where they can find you?
Well, they can often find me here at the Ayn Rand Centre UK, which is my main outlet for expressing my opinion. And I want to thank Rosie Ginsburg for that. I do not come from a Jewish background. I'm not one of these people with a last name that's suspicious. On the other hand, you can use my name to get me at Facebook, where I'm also very, very active, and I answer questions about objectivism and my videos all the time. James Stevens Valiant on Facebook. Please hit me up there if you have any questions.
Well, James, we can make you an honorary Jew for
I
this
think
occasion.
we've already done that. Yeah, Jewish
Yeah, but
Center
it's
UK
it's
has
not
been
nice to get reinstated
Thank
or
you.
re
You know something? I would be proud of that. You know, it's not that I want to be a Jew or any other a particular ethnic groups. I think it's particularly irrelevant what ethnic group I come from. But if in this context, in the face of anti-Semites, you know, there's a great story about Ayn Rand. She would only point out that she came from a Jewish background in the face of anti-Semitism. In the face of anti-Semitism, someone wants to make me an honorary Jew. I'll be proud to wear that badge. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, because of my own particular circumstances, I cannot.
And Daniel, there was some comment. I don't think. Oh yeah, Ginsburg, Honig, Kraus, and then an emoji that I think is a penis emoji and a Star of David. So yeah, your last name can be Jewish even if you're not Jewish, as far as anti-Semites
I
are.
really need to make like 23andMe, like get it and show the 70% Ashkenazi Jew or something like that, so I can also claim the heritage. Just quickly, someone in the chat says again that Israel has not always been a great ally. They've even spied on us. Every nation spies on every single nation. That's even on yeah,
But
it's
doing
not
something about rape,
unbelievable.
but hitting a naval ship, a United States naval ship, isn't quite the same thing as doing
Yeah,
things I think
and also
anti-American or anti.
yeah, and
Anyway,
also this about spying. That ship that was hit was a spy ship again. So, like, which again doesn't justify it, definitely. But
Where can people find you?
on my YouTube channel, damn Dan.
And tomorrow we have a topic, and it's not Candace Owens, right? What is the topic for? Do we already have a topic?
I
Oh,
don't think
okay. We
so.
don't have a topic, so you will find out soon enough. But we will have two shows tomorrow: the Daily Objective and the reality show. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks James. Thanks Daniel, and we'll see you tomorrow.
peace
And
out.
And thank you, PC, for the very last minute super chat. PC says, I am 60% Ashkenazi. LOL. I haven't done 23andMe, but I'm pretty sure I'm actually
Then you got
certain
to be
I'm less
60.
than 60%, but I was accused of being white in one of those comments.
Well, then you're
So
60% wrong and biased, obviously. This is insane.
right. If anybody wants to send another last minute super chat, we can keep it going. For super chats, we'll keep it going, as the anyway. Right? We're not gonna get into that. All right. Thanks everyone, and we'll see you tomorrow.